this is why I should say no to this particular action. And you have all the reasons why it's not healthy for you. And then once you've understood why it's not a healthy choice for you, then you assert what you want to be. So we've used that example of, you walk into a gym on day one, and by the time you walk out, you have a clear understanding of what you'll be in 6 months' time. I'll drop this much weight and fat, add this much weight and muscle, add this much strength, add this much flexibility. You've got a very clear idea of the goal to set, that you've set for yourself, and who you want to be physically. Same with our psychological or our spiritual goals. You have to have a very clear understanding of what it is that you're trying to achieve. Right? And so this is again why when you talk about spirituality, you ask someone, or someone tells you that they're spiritual, but generally means they're not. So he says, I'm a very spiritual person. I have it, yeah. But if you ask, well, what is spirituality? Often you don't get any sort of any ideas back. You get vague platitudes rather than a crisp, clear understanding of what spirituality is and what self-development entails, what it looks like 6 months from now. What does a more mature, more developed Glenn look like 6 months from now? If I put consistent practice in for 2 years, spiritual discipline, what do I look like? What is my relationship with the objects of the world? All the objects that I have to contact. Food, sex, family, work, drugs and alcohol, all of the different things that I have to interact with. What does my relationship with those things look like when I'm more mature? So you've got to assert your ideal and be inspired by that, as well as looking at the downsides of following that particular aspect of your nature. And so both work as pedals. The other aspect of getting over a particular desire, practicing self-control, is unselfish action, where it has no connection to the desire whatsoever. Doesn't necessarily have to be in any way connected to the desire that you're trying to overcome. But if you consciously implement unselfish action, it has a huge effect. Just keep your attention on what can I do to serve. Let me offer my services and to someone else's benefit. That's it. That's the beginning and the end of it. It lessens the psychological load. The psychological load. Put it this way, when you are under stress, psychological stress, it's much more difficult to say no to the objects of desire when they come up, right? Because you're already coping with the other psychological aspects that you have to deal with. Now this other thing comes up into the personality. I've got to deal with that. Screw it. I'm going to go and have it. I'm going to have a cigarette. I need it. Right? So what unselfish action does is it lessens that psychological burden. It makes us feel freer. It releases the emotional tension. Right? So it's a fantastic way to exhaust emotional pressure. The other thing it does is it allows you to disconnect from your preferences for a little period of time. And once you feel what it's like to disconnect from your own preferences, that becomes something that you want to continue to pursue. And so when your preference for a particular object comes up, you're already in that frame of mind of, let's stay away from that. Let's just move. Let's just move. Let's just move. And so it's easier. You're just lessening the overall burden. The other aspect that is really important in looking to overcome a specific desire is gratitude. The reason that we pursue something is because we feel that we lack it. We can't pursue something that you already possess. We've always used that example. I cannot pursue being a New Zealand citizen because I can't pursue it. I can't desire it. I can't desire to be. I can't desire to be a male because I am a male. You can't desire to be male because you are a male. So you can only pursue what you feel you lack. And so when you have, again, you consciously implement a gratitude practice. When you do that, what happens is that feeling of lacking something, it starts to diminish, because you recognize all of the things in your life that you do have. And so it's that old idea, my cup runneth over. You just feel, my God, I have so much. And then again, it's natural. When you feel that you have so much, it's a natural consequence that you won't try to grasp for more. And so even if the object, or if that desire for that object arises in the personality again, if you're in that sort of mental framework of gratitude, it just doesn't hold the same strength anymore. It can't exist. It's weak in that climate. You know, they're talking about climate change. What does it mean? It means certain species are going to die off. They can't thrive in a particular climate. If it's too hot, if it's too cold, if it's too wet, if it's too dry, the species of life will wither eventually and die. It doesn't flourish. In the same way, if we maintain a consistent mental climate of gratitude, certain species of desire, they just can't thrive in that climate. They'll appear, but they'll be weaker. So again, that's another really important thing that you can put in as a daily practice. And it's important that it doesn't become mechanical. Right? It can easily become a mechanical practice. You sort of, what's the time? I've got to get to work. All right, I'll do my thing now. Go through your list of things that you know you're grateful for. Nothing happens. No, it's not about that. It's you're rifling through your own mind, your own personality, your own experiences, like you rifle through a filing cabinet looking for something. You're looking for the thing that you feel grateful for. So there's not so subtle actually, it's quite a powerful shift in the emotional tone. And it could be anything. So, let's say you just saw a news story about some young 20-year-old guy who's at his workplace and he wasn't wearing safety glasses and he got shards of metal in his eye and he's blind for life. What a tragic story. My God, poor guy. Didn't have health insurance. Tragic. The next day you're doing your gratitude practice. I'm thankful for this. It comes back to you. Gee, I'm thankful for my eyesight. I can see. Normally I never even think about it. But I read that story and now when I read that story, it comes back to me. My eyesight's okay, maybe it's not perfect, but man, I can still drive my car and read my books and enjoy a movie. Yes, I'm grateful for that. Good, that's your object. Soak it in, be grateful. So that's the other thing that we can do. And these have a powerful effect of supporting our other efforts.